हेलो एंड वेलकम टू अ वेरी स्पेशल एपिसोड ऑफ द पाकिस्तान एक्सपीरियंस। लोग आर लाइक कि आप क्या बार बार उज़ैर यूनुस को बुला लेते हैं इंडियन इलेक्शंस पे, किसी इंडियन को भी बुलाएं। तो फिर हमने आज ऑल द वे फ्रॉम इंडिया, वेल नोन इंडियन पॉलिटिकल एनालिस्ट हैं, जर्नलिस्ट हैं, राइटर हैं। ट्विटर पे आप सब जानते होंगे इनको, दिल्ली दूरस्त के नाम से अपने आप को ये इलेक्शन टूरिस्ट बोलते हैं, क्योंकि ये जा जाके हर जगह देखते हैं कि कहाँ इलेक्शन हो रहा है। हम इनको 10 साल से फॉलो कर रहे हैं, हम बड़े फ़ैन हैं इनकी राइटिंग की। शिवम विज हमारे साथ हैं। कैसे हैं सर आप?
थैंक यू शहजाद। मैं ठीक हूँ, आप कैसे हैं?
बिल्कुल ठीक सर, ज़बरदस्त। इलेक्शन टूरिज्म अगर आपने कल किया, पिछले कुछ महीनों में किया, तो क्या देखा, हमें भी थोड़ा बताएं।
Honestly, Joe, this time I was a bit wrong, or more than a bit wrong. I did not expect the result that came out, even after talking to a lot of people. I've been wondering why. क्यों इस स्केल का नहीं दिख रहा था? It has to be said that this is not across the board. कुछ दो चार स्टेट्स में ज्यादा ही अनएक्सपेक्टेड रिजल्ट आया है। लेकिन आई थिंक when the election started in April, everybody immediately observed that the voter was silent. कोई एक जोश और माहौल वो दिख नहीं रहा था। either way, it was not 2014, 2019 पिछले चुनावों की तरह वो माहौल नहीं था कि सड़क पे लोग चिल्ला रहे हैं मोदी 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 के नाम पे लोग लड़ाई करने को तैयार हैं। एट द सेम टाइम ऐसा भी माहौल नहीं था कि लोग मोदी को हटा रहे हैं कि हटाओ अब हो गया, बस अब नौकरी नहीं मिल रही, बस महंगाई है तो थक गए, हम बोर हो गए। नहीं, तो either way it was a strangely silent election, and I presume that silence usually means pro incumbency, वोटर टर्नआउट थोड़ा कम हो गया था। थोड़ा लोग वोट कम दे रहे थे निकल के। जिसके बारे में अक्सर माना जाता है इंडिया में, जब वोटर टर्नआउट कम होता है तो लोग पीपल डोंट वांट टू चेंज द गवर्नमेंट। वोटर टर्नआउट जब बढ़ जाता है
हम्म।
तब मानते हैं लोग कि अच्छा वी वांट टू चेंज द गवर्नमेंट। ये दिस थ्योरी इज नॉट बोर्न आउट साइंटिफिकली बाय डेटा बट इज जनरली बिलीव। तो ऐसा लग नहीं रहा था कि स्पेशली इन उत्तर प्रदेश, इन द लार्जेस्ट स्टेट, कि बहुत बड़ा चेंज हो रहा है। ट्रैवल्ड अ बिट इन यूपी माई सेल्फ, but I could see some shift. I did not feel the scale of the shift, frankly, was enough for them to lose so many seats. Um, but yeah, I mean, that is the beauty of democracy, to not be able to read it, for the voter to be able to surprise. What I'm very happy about is that, I'm happy to be wrong in my reading, but I'm happy about the fact that you can still surprise. सारे exit poll गलत है, सब गलत है. This is the beauty of democracy, because a lot of people are fearing manipulation and rigging, and we have these machines, and machines cause more conspiracy theories than even ballots. But thankfully, it seems that Indian democracy is the real winner, and the roots of democracy are very strong, and the voter still has the ability to press the button, the common man, and surprise everyone.
सिंस आप यू जर्नलिस्ट हु आल्सो कमेंट्स ऑन जर्नलिज्म वेरी ऑफन, आपको क्या लगता है कि हाउ डिड पीपल गेट इट सो रॉन्ग? इज इट कि मीडिया जो है वो एक काफ़ी एक ही नैरेटिव से काफ़ी सालों से चल रहा है? इज इट अ कंफर्मेशन बायस? इज इट ग्रेट फ्रेमिंग बाय बीजेपी, क्योंकि उन्होंने शुरू से अपनी जो एक नैरेटिव बनाया कि अब की बार 400 पार, तो सॉर्ट ऑफ बेंचमार्क फिर वो बन गया कि वेयर इवन ऑन द फेस ऑफ इट, इफ देयर द लार्जेस्ट पार्टी दे वन, जनरल जो रिएक्शन है पूरे इंटर का है कि सीन एज अ फेलियर। तो वो नैरेटिव की स्ट्रेंथ है कि उन्होंने सोशल मीडिया डोमिनेट किया, उसको प्रोपगेट किया। जर्नलिज्म का फेलियर है, एक जनरल कंफर्मेशन बायस है। व्हाई डिड सो मेनी पीपल इंक्लूडिंग द एग्जिट पोल्स, वो इवन जब एग्जिट पोल्स आए थे उन पे थोड़ा क्वेश्चन मार्क आ गया था कि थोड़े एग्जैजरेटेड लग रहे हैं, बट स्टिल दे वर प्रेजेंटेड टू अस एज एविडेंस। व्हाई डिड सो मेनी पीपल गेट इट सो रॉन्ग?
See, the biggest confirmation bias that we all have is the recent past. We try to analyze the present through the past, the recent past. So, पिछली बार exit polls, one particular exit poll axis was bang on. So you presume that this time also they'll be bang on, right? They generally have a record of getting it right very often, not always, but very often. But the media, I think, you know, the voter was somewhat silent. The media could not read it. At the same time, it is true that a lot of the media is so partisan, so polarized. उनको दिख भी रहा होगा तो नहीं दिखाएंगे, right? But also the BJP's electoral domination of the recent past has been so huge that if you see a big shift, you're afraid to say it because कितने इलेक्शन हुए हैं जब जब लोगों ने कहा बीजेपी हार रही है और बीजेपी छप्पड़ फाड़ के जीत जाती है, राइट? तो यू फील स्टूपिड saying again and again कि बीजेपी हार रही है वो तो and they win. You feel like you
हम्म।
have a confirmation bias. And if you were to write saying that BJP is losing and you get the election wrong, you'll be trolled for it for the rest of your life. Every time you say something against the government, 20 trolls will come with screenshots of your old articles saying, "Oh, you got the elections right. You may have got
अच्छा,
20
वहां भी
elections
होता है?
right. Ah, you may
इंडियन
have
इलेक्शन
you may
रिजल्ट्स है।
have got."
मैं और नदीम फारूक पराचा कराची में, पाकिस्तान में ट्रेंड होना शुरू हो गए। पता चला कि हमने पिछले साल बोला था कि पीटीआई नहीं जीतेगी। उन लोगों ने बहुत गालियां दी उसमें।
So from social media trolling to much worse to there are people who can lose their jobs over stuff like this. Journalists, um, the silencing of uh, sort of liberals and media, and ये पूरा मीडिया खाली एक तरफा प्रो गवर्नमेंट बोल सकता है. In an environment where people are afraid to say कि बीजेपी हार रही है, like, and you get it wrong yourself. You see their domination. I remember in UP, I felt that there is a definite shift from the past, but it's not enough for BJP to lose. यार 2-2 लाख मार्जिन से वोट जीती हुई है. What do you mean they lose Allahabad? Last time Congress won Allahabad was 1984. Amitabh Bachchan was the candidate. Right. So sitting in Allahabad, and like there are people saying यहाँ tight हो गया, tight हो गया. Hardcore BJP right wing supporters are saying यहाँ tight हो गया, यहाँ मुश्किल है, निकाल लेंगे लेकिन मुश्किल है. And I remember speaking to this journalist in Lucknow and telling her that I don't think BJP will lose. Margin बहुत कम हो जाएंगे. And she said, Shivam, we are afraid to think it's possible because it seems so unlikely, but it's happening. And I have to say it, she was right. And sometimes these things happen. Yeah, one lives for such moments. One lives to be surprised. That's fine.
अ, अगर इसको मैं एक, सिंस आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड इंडिया एज वेल, आई अंडरस्टैंड पाकिस्तान। पाकिस्तान का जर्नलिज्म का एक मसला ये है कि लाहौर, कराची, इस्लामाबाद से आगे रसाई भी नहीं होती जर्नलिस्ट की। दे डोंट एक्चुअली गो आउट, टॉक टू द वोटर्स। इवन हमारे जो भी इलेक्शन रिजल्ट्स आए हैं, क्या सरप्राइज पंजाब था, राइट? द फोकस वाज पंजाब। केपी में पता था पीटीआई स्वीप करेगी, सिंध में पीपीपी नहीं जीतना था, बलूचिस्तान में तो इलेक्शन के नाम पे जोक होते हैं। तो जो सारा एनालिसिस होता है, सारा डिस्कशन होता है, वो वहीं पे बेस्ड होता है। वुड यू से समथिंग सिमिलर कि जो इंडियन मीडिया है इट्स डोमिनेटेड बाय दीज अर्बन सेंटर्स, तो वो लोग भी इतना एफर्ट नहीं करते टू एक्चुअली गो आउट इनटू द रूरल एरियाज, टू एक्चुअली टॉक टू द पीपल, to actually do their work, which is to be the voice of the voiceless? Is journalism and especially mainstream media failing in doing that in India as well?
Shila, that's no longer true because the media does a lot of that. And we have huge sort of contingent of YouTubers.
Mm,
Okay, from the ground, from Delhi, from elsewhere. YouTube is now become mainstream in India, right? It is said that something like 50 crore people log on to YouTube at least once a month, right? Um, and because TV is so such a government mouthpiece that people look to YouTube now uh, for a real sense of the ground, and people across political divides do that, by the way. The government itself has been giving interviews to YouTubers in a big way. YouTube is mainstream. But even TV news itself has been going to the ground. The big surprise this election came from UP, where the BJP won 62 out of 80 seats last time. This time they won 33. This time the BJP was not even the single largest party in UP, right? Nobody expected that. And UP is just right next door. It's like a lot of the media is headquartered in Noida, a suburb of Delhi, which is technically in UP, right? So and they travel and do travel a lot. There's stringers everywhere.
mm,
So it's not that the media didn't travel. Um, it's that there are many things here that might be responsible for media not realizing the scale of the shift. And one of them is the voter himself being unwilling to reveal his or her cards because of some sense of fear of retribution, because of some sense that just like the rest of us, even the voter feels like if I say something against the BJP, kahin koi repercussion na ho. I feel there is some sense like that,
mm,
but maybe we just fail to imagine this is possible. We just
mm.
But I have to say, one particular reporter of the Hindu newspaper in Delhi called Sobna Nair um, not only saw a huge shift, he was courageous enough to write
Hmm.
that um the India alliance is doing quite well in UP and
Hmm.
could win more seats than anyone imagines. So there were people like that.
She's the same writer who wrote के अयोध्या में हारेगी बीजेपी. Is that the same person who predicted that?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't think she said that. But yeah. But Ayodhya seat, the Ayodhya Lok Sabha seat for the national
Hmm.
elections is actually called Faizabad. It's a larger
Hmm.
seat. It is not as if some BJP stronghold. The BJP won it in 2014 and 19. But before 2014, it's not as if they were winning it every election. It's not some stronghold. So it's
Hmm.
not that big a shocker कि Ayodhya हार गए. I think that speaks more to the BJP's overconfidence कि वो तो निकाल ही लेंगे. So a lot of what has happened this election is because of BJP's overconfidence.
इफ़ आई मे जस्ट पुश बैक ऑन द मेन स्ट्रीम वाली चीज़, जब मैंने भी पोस्ट की थी मुझे कुछ लोगों ने इंडिया से कमेंट किया कि आप जो बात कर रहे हैं आप हिंदू मेन स्ट्रीम मीडिया की बात कर रहे हैं, अगर आप रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस में जाएं तो वो रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस को बहुत ज़्यादा कवर करते हैं. सो फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड हमारे पास शायद सिर्फ एक ही तरह का मीडिया आ रहा हो, एक तो हमें समझ में भी नहीं आएगा. एक बहुत अच्छा यूट्यूब चैनल है अनफिल्टर्ड बाय, यू मस्ट नो हिम यार, वो बहुत आई थिंक इज़ अ कमेडियन ऑल्सो, जो पॉलिटिक्स के साथ जाके बहुत मज़े के कैजुअल.
Samdish, yeah,
समदीश. समदीश
yeah.
कहीं गए थे रूरल एरिया में और वो किसी बच्चे से बात कर रहे थे एंड द किड वाज लिटरली लाइक आधार कार्ड क्या होता है, मतलब खाने वाने के हमारे पास पैसे नहीं है. तो इवन मैं उसमें इंडियन रिएक्शंस देख रहा था, अ लॉट ऑफ देम सीम्ड प्रीटी सरप्राइज्ड कि ये सच्चाई है. और फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड मैंने वो इस तरह की इतनी नहीं देखी रिपोर्टिंग, आई एम श्योर हो रही होगी, मेरे तक नहीं पहुंची ऑल द वे इन पाकिस्तान. सो देन द मीडिया दैट gets to us is a lot like Shark Tank India, Shining India, Great. So when I see something like that from the outside, मेरी फील ये थी कि अच्छा ये चीज़ इतनी ज़्यादा रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं हो रही. वुड यू से दैट इज़ फेयर और वुड यू से कि नहीं मेरे तक नहीं पहुंच रही, नेचुरल
You know, if
लेवल
you
पर है?
see if you see the journalist called Ajit Anjum, or if you see Lallan Top is a channel
आई सी.
run by the India Today Group, they do a lot of vox pop. वो मतलब घंटों गांव गांव बैठ के माइक लगा के आप बताइए. I'm a print journalist. I write print and web, but I have tried talking to voters with the camera on. And what I did was I first speak to them, and then I'm like, can I interview you on camera? And then I open my phone and they say something else. And I'm not talking about this election, I'm talking of past elections. There is the truth of the camera. When the camera is on, people say something totally different often. In this time I was meeting um, people associated with the RSS, and I was talking to them, and they were when as a camera person with me, we switched on the camera. They were seeing opposite of what they were seeing without camera. They were seeing opposite on camera. So there is an element of how much the camera can capture, how much are people with their faces and names. And that's why when I talk to people, I don't even ask their name. I don't want to know your name. I give you anonymity, but just tell me what's happening in the election. What are you thinking? And and the biggest complaint people had this time was actually with the candidates, with the MP candidates that the BJP had fielded in UP and elsewhere. They felt the BJP had given them unpopular candidates whom either they didn't know at all, or they had not performed well. The BJP was repeating. I didn't hear one of the reasons why nobody thought the BJP could um, go below the majority mark. In fact, a lot of people thought the BJP could increase its seats is because Prime Minister Modi himself seemed fairly popular. People were not speaking against him, right? People were unhappy with the local candidates. And even on issues, the unhappiness was, there was unemployed youth saying we are voting against BJP, but there was a small section of people. Even on things like caste and so on, there was a ferment, but it seems small to me at least. But clearly not. The voters, in many places sounded angry. The results suggest the voters angry
इसमें
in
जब
some places.
इसमें अगेन मेरी पॉइंट ऑफ रेफरेंस पाकिस्तान होता है, कुछ मुझे नहीं इतना पता इंडियन इलेक्शंस का। पाकिस्तानी इलेक्शंस में भी इमरान खान ने बोला था मैं खंबा भी खड़ा कर दूं तो वो जीत जाएगा। आई वॉज आर्ग्यूइंग अगेंस्ट दैट वेयर आई सेड नहीं, कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी पॉलिटिक्स मैटर। आई वॉज प्रूवन रॉन्ग वेयर इन द इलेक्शन Imran Khan factor was able to overcome constituency politics in a lot of elections where people didn't look at the candidate. They were like, भाई इमरान खान का वोट है या एंटी एस्टैब्लिशमेंट वोट है, regardless of खंबा भी खड़ा हो। I guess Imran Khan was right for those constituencies. तो इंडिया फैक्टर में where there's a lot more state sovereignty, where there's a lot more local government, local politics, local taxation, one would assume के constituency politics matter a lot more, right?
Yeah, but in 2014 and 2019, the two times before when we had Modi elections, they were absolutely lamppost elections. They were absolutely खंबा भी खड़ा कर दीजिए और खंबे जीते, ऐसे ऐसे लोग जीते, you cannot
हम्म।
imagine them winning, you
हम्म।
know. And everybody is presumed that will be the case this time
हम्म।
as well. But clearly,
गुरसिमरन अभी सोच रहा
in
होगा कि बीजेपी ज्वाइन कर लेता तो जीत जाता शायद।
I'll tell you something. In 1989 से लेके 2009 तक, 20-year period, we had the coalition era, right?
हम्म।
We often had governments falling because allies would withdraw support,
हम्म।
including Mr. Vajpayee. And it was presumed in that time that Indian politics is a sum of the states. It was
हम्म।
presumed there were theories, there was political consensus, political intellectual consensus that India is too huge to be governed by one party. For one single party to win the entire country is impossible. वो कांग्रेस ने कर लिया 50 से 80s तक because of the hangover of the freedom movement. But now that Congress has become weak, we have two big parties, yes, BJP and Congress, but they all to work with regional allies.
हम्म।
Now, the big achievement of Mr. Modi in 2014 was that he convinced people that you have to think national for the national election. You will often hear Prime Minister Modi talk about one nation, one election, one tax
हम्म।
regime, one this, one that. The idea is to make people think national, like in 2019, for example, um, two main regional parties in UP had an alliance to try and defeat BJP. On paper, arithmetically, the alliance looked strong. I went around talking to people, and people said, बट ये इनका इलेक्शन थोड़ी ना है, यूपी का इलेक्शन थोड़ी ना है, ये तो देश का इलेक्शन है, देश में तो
हम्म।
मोदी आएगा, राइट? तो दिस idea of the national, and that helped make it a lamppost election. That helped make it a khamba election. The MP didn't matter. Just think Modi, think
हम्म।
nation, think India, think, and therefore this focus on nationalism, right? India will be a $5 trillion economy. India will be the third largest economy. Right? In 2019, a lot of that nationalism came thanks to you, Shehzad, the Balakot, Pulwama sort of crisis.
मुझे
So,
क्यों पर्सनली तो क्रेडिट ना दे।
uh, uh, uh,
वीजा नहीं मिलेगा इसके
so,
बाद मुझे तो
so,
कभी। तो
वैसे मिल रहा
इस तरह
है,
बोल रहे हैं इस तरह मेरा
वैसे,
कश्तियां बनाने का कारोबार है कराची
so,
पोर्ट पर।
so, but this time, somehow that did not work. This time, somehow in a lot of places, the national pitch was not working. People were talking about caste, community candidate a lot more than you heard them. I have this way when I travel in elections, I ask myself at the end of the day, okay, what was the keyword that I heard the most, right? And in many elections in recent years, the keyword has been Modi. Modi ko de rahe, Modi, 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 Modi. So all you hear, pura pura din nikal jata hai. All these lefties in India who think the electronic voting machines are rigged, I tell them, the number of people I meet saying Modi, I'm surprised he only wins these many seats. He should win much more. Like pura pura din aapko, except for the core voters of the opposition parties, uh, कोई मिलता ही नहीं saying anything other than Modi. But this time, I heard Modi a little less, but I heard a lot of tight hai, candidate खराब है, उम्मीदवार ठीक
हम्म।
नहीं, उम्मीदवार is candidate in Hindi. I heard a lot about caste, caste is the normal in Indian politics, and Mr. Modi's success also in 2014 and 19 was to transcend caste, right? Caste is caste is back, candidate is
हम्म।
back, community is back in at least some places in Maharashtra, in UP, in Rajasthan, in Haryana. at least 4, 5 states, BJP has seen setbacks for selection. Yeah.
इंटरेस्टिंगली उम्मीदवार इज उर्दू.
Oh, okay.
तो इसमें हम उनकी शॉर्टकमिंग्स तो डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. शुड वी ऑल्सो डिस्कस द सक्सेस ऑफ द ऑपोजिशन. आपने 2019 में बोला था कि भाई राहुल गांधी से तंग आए हुए हैं वोटर्स, तो उनकी जो पर्सनल पॉपुलैरिटी है वो इतनी बुरी है कि बेचारे क्या ही जीतेंगे. डू यू फील कि राहुल गांधी हैज बीन एबल टू रीब्रांड हिमसेल्फ? वो जो उनकी भारत जोड़ो यात्रा भी थी, मैंने तो उसको फॉरेस्ट गंप बोल दिया था, लोग बड़े नाराज हो गए थे. लेकिन इट फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड दैट्स व्हाट इट लुक लाइक. डू यू फील कि उन्होंने कुछ अच्छा किया?
So, I've been quite a critic of Rahul Gandhi and the Congress over the last 10 years. But I'll tell you what, according to me, they did right, okay, over the last few years. Number one, Rahul Gandhi had this image of ridicule. People used to,
हम्म.
you mentioned Rahul Gandhi and people laugh.
हम्म.
Okay. People used to forward Rahul Gandhi jokes. People used to call him Pappu, right? What Bharat Jodo Yatra did was to take away that ridicule. I no longer hear people making fun of him. I no longer hear people making jokes about him. Okay. That's the good part. And that's the good part because in 2019, there was a lot of, if I ask unemployed youth in 2019, I remember this, कि आप क्यों दे रहे हैं बीजेपी को वोट, आपको नौकरी तो मिली नहीं, मोदी जी आपको नौकरी दिला नहीं पाए. एंड दे वुड से, तो किसको वोट दे, राहुल को, राहुल नौकरी दे देगा, डू यू रियली थिंक राहुल गांधी कैन क्रिएट जॉब? एंड देयर इज नो आंसर टू दैट, एंड दिस वाज द लैंग्वेज ऑफ बीजेपी वर्कर्स दैट दे हैड ट्रेन्ड voters in, and they have a huge party organization, the BJP, which the Congress does not. So in 2019, this Modi versus Rahul contrast, right? As uh, in 2014, BJP was not attacking Congress in the way they were attacking Congress by 2017. They were attacking Congress non-stop. And the idea was to draw a contrast. Like, even if you had any criticism of BJP and Modi, their point was, do you really think Rahul Gandhi and Congress are better than us? Do you really think you have a better alternative? Right? Politics is about choices, right? There are two tennis players, you have to choose one
हम्म.
to root for. So the BJP's point was, do you really think that is better than us? You know, they are no longer able to say that because Rahul Gandhi has improved his image just a little bit, just the ridicule bit has gone away. Bharat Jodo Yatra. The second thing that Bharat Jodo Yatra did was enthuse the Congress party's own supporters. Because in an election, when your own supporters are not enthusiastic, they're not charged up, then you have no chance because their energy, like you hear about Trump all the time, the Trump charges up the
हम्म.
base, right? And that is what Mr. Modi does with the Hindu nationalism, for example. When he's using Hindu nationalism, he's charging up the base. Chalo beta utho, kaam karo, right? Bharat Jodo Yatra charged up the Congress base. I was quite cynical about Bharat Jodo Yatra when it started, but then I saw this happen. I thought this was valuable for them. Um, but beyond that, it didn't do much. For example, if they had done a big campaign on unemployment, they could have mobilized unemployed youth to create a certain mahal. They could not do that. The third thing the opposition did right was to create this alliance of opposition parties led by the Congress, which they very smartly called the India Alliance. And India has a full form, which I can look up for you. I've forgotten, but doesn't matter
हम्म.
because it came to known as the India Alliance. And when the name was announced, the BJP looked like they were pissed because they realized the power of this term India Alliance, Indian National Something Development Inclusive Alliance.
हम्म.
Uh, because as I was just telling you, Mr. Modi made the regional election national. He told people national election के लिए national सोचो, अपने गली मोहल्ले का मत सोचो, अपने कास्ट का, अपनी रीजनल पार्टी का मत सोचो, ये national election है.
हम्म.
And the Congress and opposition was failing because they could not match up to that national level. They looked like a lot of small fragmented parties. The Congress itself was not able to win even 10% seats in the Lok Sabha last time, right? So with the India Alliance, they had an answer to this national quest. And I saw this work in UP and elsewhere because people said we are voting for India Alliance. The BJP worker could not say कि देखो रीजनल पार्टी पे वोट बेस करके क्या होगा, सेंटर में तो एक ही मोदी जी, एक ही बीजेपी नेशनल पार्टी. So the India alliance, the fact that there was an alliance, firstly, the fact that it had a great name like the India Alliance, it made a lot of people think that something is possible nationally for the opposition just a bit. Okay, and maybe the media, people like me, underestimated how much the India Alliance is making an impact. Obviously, it didn't make a huge impact. It's not as BJP lost the election. Mr. Modi is still getting
Mm.
sworn in on the 9th of June. But but it did make some difference. That's the third thing the India Alliance did well. The fourth thing they did right was they generally had lesser controversies, lesser stupid statements this time, which the BJP could use against them. Um, for example, they did not fall into the traps of communalism, the traps of Hindu Muslim. They didn't respond to the provocation much less than they used
Mm.
to. But I think Mr. Rahul Gandhi did what can only be called a master stroke. He did not give a single TV interview this election campaign, not even a YouTube interview, not even YouTube interviews to like totally left liberal YouTubers who
Nihal
would not
Kamra.
have asked him tough questions. Uh, Ravish Kumar, he didn't even give an
Mm.
interview to Ravish Kumar. Okay. Um, and I think that really worked because A, that took away the possibility of gaffes that the BJP could use to again create the contrast between Modi and Rahul. And B, there was generally less Rahul in this election. So the BJP's trick of doing the Modi Rahul contrast, in any election anywhere in
Mm.
the world, you have to define what you're fighting, who you're fighting against. And the
Mm.
BJP since 2014 has been telling us that they're fighting against these elitists and these English speaking people and this Delhi cabal, this Rahul Gandhi and this Gandhi family, his mother is Italian, all of that. But by making sure that there was less Rahul, he did a lot of rallies, he
Mm.
made a lot of speeches, none of which went viral. They didn't push hard with the media. That's totally fine. There was one or two videos that went viral for good or bad. But generally, the fact that there was less Rahul actually helped the opposition because people were not thinking Rahul, people were thinking India alliance. And I think uh, I saw the BJP realize the problem because they started posting some Rahul stuff towards the end of the election. I think they also realized that not attacking Rahul enough or the Modi versus Rahul contrast is not working for them this time, which it did very well in the past.
So you're saying it's just media response and management. It's not the fact that media की penetration उन areas में नहीं है where maybe Congress could go talk to them. It's not on ground politics versus media. That's not a factor.
Um, See, the opposition is generally weak with on-ground politics. Okay, because they don't have workers. There's a polling booth near Allahabad that I've been going to every election, state
Mm.
and central election since 2012. Okay, and just going to the same village every 2 3 years is very educative. When I first went there was only one BJP worker. Okay, today that one BJP worker sidelined. There are 20 workers. 20. Okay, you ask, yeah, who BJP worker hai, half the village turns up. But the other parties still have that one old worker, which badla
Mm.
nahi hai, right? So the party organization strength issue is one of the most underrated things in India. People don't talk enough about how the BJP has its party organization strength. And interestingly, in the same polling booth this time, what I saw is that the one BJP worker I've known very well was absolutely demoralized, unenthused. He himself was complaining about not getting a job.
Mm.
So, I should have read something into that. And that guy, by the way, said the BJP will get 40 seats. They got even less than that BJP. Uh, and I was not believing. I just thought he's
Mm.
disgruntled. So the opposition is actually weak with on-ground politics. And the BJP is strong with both on ground and social media, and they have complete capture of mainstream media, everything, right? When I read about the PTI's mobilization in Pakistan through social media, etc., it
Amazing.
reminds me often of the BJP, right? That's amazing. They're amazing like that. I mean, a lot of what I read about PTI's mobilization just reminds of BJP copy paste, right? Um, ऑपोजिशन का पॉइंट ये है 2014 से कि मीडिया हमें दिखाता नहीं मीडिया हमें दिखा दे तो हम जीत जाए राइट टू विच आई विल से दैट इट्स नॉट द मीडियाज जॉब to carry your message to the voter, right? I acknowledge that the media is absolutely biased in favor of the BJP, and the media does not give you the kind of coverage you would like. But media disproportionately gives coverage, positive coverage to the
Mm.
BJP and to Prime Minister Modi, no doubt about that. But it is also the job of any political party to have an independent mechanism to reach the masses, right? In the Indian freedom struggle, Mahatma Gandhi did not really have the press to himself because the British, they had control of the papers, right? All the English papers were owned by the British. Mahatma Gandhi started his own papers, his own journals, his own means of reaching the people, right? Um, Having said that, I will say that the Congress has improved the social media game a lot.
Mm.
Okay, a lot since 2014, in the last 10 years. The problem still remains that they have good content, but they don't have enough delivery mechanisms. They don't have enough WhatsApp groups. They don't have enough party workers to forward that stuff, enough enthused supporters to forward that stuff. So the delivery pipeline is still weak, but the content itself is now very good.
इसमें जो आप गैप्स की बात कर रहे थे या द फैक्ट दैट राहुल गांधी इज़ अ पंच लाइन, आई थिंक पाकिस्तान में भी यही होता है कि पीटीआई ने पीटीआई की सोशल मीडिया ने जो बहुत सक्सेसफुली किया है, इट्स नॉट लाइक इमरान खान इज़ नॉट प्रोन टू अ गैप, राइट? बट इफ़ मरियम नवाज और नवाज शरीफ और शहबाज शरीफ स्लिप्स अप, बिलावल भुट्टो की उर्दू अच्छी नहीं है तो ही ऑफन स्लिप्स अप, वो चीज़ इतनी इजीली इतनी ज़्यादा मीम बन जाती है और इतनी पॉपुलर हो जाती है कि द आइडिया दैट दीस पीपल आर अ जोक कीप्स रिपीटिंग itself, whereas on the other end they might not have the social media bandwidth or the knowledge to equally turn something that Imran Khan said into a joke like that.
See, I think it's not simply about social media or memes. As I said, the Congress and generally supporters of the opposition, their meme game, their social media game is now up there. Okay, it's very good. The distribution pipelines may be weak. It may not reach enough people outside the liberal anti-Modi echo chamber, but the game itself is quite strong now. Um, but the BJP has, for example, tried to make jokes about Arvind Kejriwal as well.
Mm.
They could never label him as a quote unquote pappu, right? Uh, and they're not no longer able to do that even to Rahul Gandhi himself. Why? Because this kind of attacks will not um, stick if there isn't some substance with them. Rahul Gandhi used to say a lot of weird, awkward things, a lot of gaffes, which added to the image that this guy does not have experience, which he does not. He did not become a
Mm.
minister. He does not ask too many questions as a parliamentarian. He's not a great orator. Even today, when I ask people about Rahul Gandhi, what they say is, I don't know enough to comment on him. In some ways, it's actually worse. He's gone from being an object of ridicule to being irrelevant,
Mm.
right? Um, so there is an empty image that needs to be filled. There, if the opposition attack is sticking on you, right? There must be something that is wrong in you. Maybe they are exaggerating and extrapolating. Maybe आपके यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा तिल है और वो कह रहे हैं कि देखो इतना बड़ा तिल है, तो वो छोटा सा तिल कुछ है, उसको एड्रेस करने की जरूरत है. एंड आई थिंक Rahul Gandhi addressed it in some way
Mm.
through Bharat Joro Yatra, the image of an insincere part-time politician. He said, "Okay, I'll walk the country and show you my sincerity, prove it." And
इसमें
to that extent,
इसमें
yeah.
फ्रेमिंग का भी है, लाइक यू स्पोकन अबाउट दिस इन टर्म्स ऑफ ट्रोल्स, बट जिस तरह पाकिस्तान में भी लेट्स से जब यूएनसी हुआ, इमरान खान फ्रेम्ड द इशू, राइट, कि ये लोग गद्दार हैं, rather than coming up with their own framing, these leaders like Shabazz Sharif, हम कोई गद्दार हैं, हम गद्दार, yeah, you're negating it but you're repeating it, so you're setting the narrative has been set, and now you're on the defensive. So what the politicians here do is they keep responding कि आपने हमें गद्दार बोला, हम गद्दार तो नहीं है, हम गद्दार तो नहीं है, हम करप्ट तो नहीं है, हम करप्ट तो नहीं है, बट आपकी भी उस
This
रिपीट करने से नैरेटिव वही सेट हो गया है.
See, this is a problem across the world because whether or not you respond to an attack is $1 million question. Okay, think of Hillary versus Trump,
Hmm.
right? Trump keep attacking her, Hillary's emails, Hillary this, Hillary that, and the Hillary campaign said we will not respond. Okay, because one wisdom is that
Hmm.
by responding, as you just said, you make it bigger, right? There is this famous English saying, some English politician accused the other of being a pig fucker. And somebody said, that's ridiculous. How can you say that? And he said, I just want to hear him deny it. एक बार बोल दे कि मैं नहीं हूँ,
हाँ हाँ।
you know. Or there's
डेविड
another
कैमरून के
one
साथ
on
भी यही
this.
हुआ ना।
Yeah, there's
हाँ
another one on this. Did you beat your wife today? And you can say, no, I did not beat my wife today, but it establishes that, okay, maybe you are a wife beater, right?
yeah,
So, um, so Hillary said we will not respond. But what happened? The image stuck. But because people said Hillary not responding, Hillary not denying it, maybe the accusations are correct. Maybe it's all right, right?
yeah.
And then Trump could say, I'll put her in jail and so on and so
But
forth.
then
So
you
to
sorry
respond or
शिवम,
not to
but
respond is a very tough one.
Yes, but it's what you respond with, right? अगर इसका पैरेलल में ड्रॉ करूँ, हंटर बाइडन लैपटॉप was the same as Hillary's emails, right? It was supposed to be the same thing. Joe Biden went on and spoke about Bo Biden. मेरा बेटा था, आर्मी में था, वो मरा है. Suddenly, Bo Biden became the main story. People forgot about Hunter Biden did not stick because they replaced it with Bo Biden. कि ये मेरा बेटा है और मैं इसका बाप हूँ. And then he also spoke about Hunter's issues with drugs. And like he said, I'm proud of him. उस तरह तो उन्होंने रीफ्रेम कर दिया, राइट, रादर देन जस्ट नहीं नहीं लैपटॉप पे कुछ नहीं था. या इफ यू कम एंड से लैपटॉप पे कुछ नहीं था, पीपल लाइक कुछ तो है जो ये बोल रहा है. बट देन यू रीफ्रेम इट विद समथिंग एल्स एंड समथिंग टैंजिबल.
I agree with that, and in some sense, maybe the Bharat Joro Yatra did exactly that. And I'm not. At the same time, I'll say let us not exaggerate the contribution of Bharat Joro Yatra. It has a limited role in improving Rahul Gandhi's image. But what also, as I said earlier, the opposition in India became smarter in not responding all the time. That also happened.
मी जो आपकी मेरी बातें होती रहेंगी, लोगों ने बहुत सारे सवाल पूछे थे. लुकिंग फॉर दिस अपकमिंग वीडियो ब्रदर, I hope you do a fantastic job. I hope to. Please ask him on the correlation between development and secularism. Chandra Babu Naidu provided reservation to Muslims in Andhra Pradesh. Now, where are Modi's rhetoric that he will ensure reservation not on religious line? Per capita of GDP of Tamil Nadu or Kerala is better than BJP state rule. Why? I guess that's a separate question. पहला वाला address कर लेते हैं.
Um, Development and secularism.
Hmm.
So, this reservations for Muslim, etc., became a political issue in the elections. But those are issues that are very well addressed and governed by the Supreme Court. I think if there's any problem, matters will go to court. I think that the Indian Constitution is very clear. You cannot give reservations, job quotas, education quotas on the lines of religion. That is simply not allowed. Okay. And that harks back incidentally to the uh, partition debates, etc., about using religion as a line of any kind of discrimination. But at the same time, what a lot of people may or may not realize that there are Muslim caste communities in India, you know, who are listed in what is called the OBCs, other backward classes. And through that, a number of Muslims do get benefits of reservations, not on the lines of religion, but
Hmm.
on the lines of just backwardness, just by the fact, because Muslims also have caste, for example, right? So through that, a lot of places they do have quotas, and within that group there will be sub-classifications, in which some of the sub-classifications they have a lot of Muslims. But I don't worry about this issue because this will be regardless of what politicians do, right or wrong.
Hmm.
This is covered by the courts. It always ends up in litigation, and the courts have very clear red lines of what you can do and what you cannot do about this. Development and secularism is, probably needs a whole show of its own. But but I do think that the BJP getting less than a majority and having to depend on two allies who do not share the BJP's core ideology of Hindu nationalism will mean that we will probably see a little less Hindu nationalism in the next 5 years, and
Hmm.
it'll be generally better for minorities in terms of having a breathing space.
उजैर जब आए थे पॉडकास्ट पे, उन्होंने बोला बहुत बड़ी गलती होगी टू थिंक के मोनोलिथ की तरह मुस्लिम्स वोट करते हैं, लॉट ऑफ गुजराती मुस्लिम्स वोट फॉर मोदी. बट अभी मैं काफ़ी ट्विटर पे इस तरह का डिस्कशन देख रहा था कि पीपल वर चैस्टाइजिंग हिंदूज के, देखें आप लोग एज अ ब्लॉक नहीं वोट कर रहे और इलेक्शन इसलिए डिसाइड हुए हैं क्योंकि सारे मुस्लिम्स ऑफ इंडिया डिसाइडेड एज अ ब्लॉक. हाउ अनफेयर डू फील दैट स्टेटमेंट इज, और दैट framing of the elections is?
No, this is the typical RSS narrative that 85% Hindus, were united, etc. But again, this presumes that the BJP has some kind of a birthright on the Hindu vote. This presumes as if the Congress or the other parties are Muslim parties. They're not. I mean, it's funny. If you
It's
think
funny
of
how in
the Jinnah
Pakistan
was
Congress is the Hindu party.
Hindu
हमारे.
party. That's going to
हाँ,
say that
हाँ.
exactly. So today for the BJP, Congress is the Muslim party, and तो ऐसा नहीं है कि 85% वोट पे बीजेपी का बर्थ राइट है. और nobody has stopped BJP from wooing the Muslim vote. If the BJP woos the Muslim vote, इतना मिलेगा कि उनको खुद यकीन नहीं होगा. But if you don't give, in this election, all of India BJP gave one Muslim ticket. तो क्या आपको किसने रोका है ना? तो this religious framing ये तो आपने खुद ही करी है. हमने तो नहीं करी, किसी और ने तो नहीं करी है.
हम्म.
Now, do Muslims vote as a monolith or not? uh, where there are only two parties. Let's say the state of Gujarat, there are two main parties, BJP and Congress. So it's not just Muslims, even caste groups. Muslims essentially behave like one caste group often, okay? And caste groups also go either this way or that way, right? So in Gujarat, Kshatriyas might vote for Congress and Patels might vote for BJP. So what is the crime exactly that Muslims are committing if they choose one party over the other based on their interest, especially considering that they might face discrimination on the grounds of religion. So what is the big crime here? Where Muslims have more than one option, and Muslims often complain about not having options because the BJP is not going them, the BJP is not even promising to do something extra for them, something nice for them. Although the BJP does say in their defense that all our welfare policies are equally applicable to Muslims. When we build housing or toilet or give free gas cylinder, Muslims also get it. And as I said, there are Muslims who would be willing to go along with that pitch if the BJP was willing to woo them. But anyway, in UP, for example, where there were used to be uh, in 2014, when Mr. Modi first became Prime Minister, Muslim vote had three claimants in UP: Samajwadi Party, Bahujan Samaj Party, and the Congress, right? And the Muslim vote was split, which is how in UP in 2014 there were seats with 60% Muslim population and BJP won them. Because the Muslim vote is split three-way and the Hindu vote is not. And that is the ideal scenario that the sort of people you're quoting want. Now with the India alliance and the Muslim voter also getting wiser, especially in places like UP, the Muslim vote decided that they are not going to allow their vote to be split. The Muslim vote has gone one way, right? There is one seat in Assam where the contest was between a Muslim party, AIUDF, and the Congress. And the Congress has won that seat by 10 lakh votes. Because the Muslims are very clear this election at least, especially after the CA agitation, etc., what they've seen over the last few years, that they don't want to let their vote be divided, right? And I think that is a wise sort of strategy that is no different from how a lot of other communities behave. I don't see the problem here.
आपके पास एग्जिट पोल डेटा एग्जैक्टली आते हैं जैसे अमेरिका में, तो आपको एग्जैक्टली पता चल जाता है ना, अच्छा इसमें हिस्पैनिक इतना पड़ा, ब्लैक इतना पड़ा, वाइट इतना पड़ा. तो डू यू गेट द डेटा कि यार इस रिजल्ट में 10 लाख में से 8 लाख मुस्लिम वोट इसको पड़े थे, 4 लाख इसको पड़े थे?
Not in the granular detail of the USA election, and there is actually only one organization that does it seriously in India called CSDS. So CSDS looks at the post-poll studies. They might be out. I still have to look them up.
हम्म.
But there's only one organization that does that. I do wish we had more of that, like the US.
हम्म.
Um, yes,
तो
but
इस
yeah,
वक्त
at
ये
least
जो
one
लोग, ये तो
organization does that.
कंप्लीट अजम्पशन पे कह रहे हैं अभी, तो इस वक्त लोग जो ये ट्रोल करने के लिए कह रहे हैं, आई.
Well, you see, the India alliance
एम
made it much less complicated. There are only two sides. Parties that were not part of assembly the India alliance or the BJP-led NDA, the National Democratic Alliance, have done very badly in this election. Most of them. Okay, BSP in UP, party called BRS in Telangana, where Hyderabad Dakkan, as you call it. Then party like Akali Dal in Indian Punjab, which was fighting a general election for the first time, perhaps without an alliance with the BJP, right? So parties that have not been part of either side have totally collapsed. Like some of them have won zero seats,
Aam
right?
Aadmi Party also
So
didn't do well, right?
Aam Aadmi Party, yes, did not do well, even in Indian Punjab, where they chose not to do an alliance with the Congress party. They won only two or three seats. Congress has done far better than expected. In Delhi, it was despite Kejriwal's arrest, people thought there would be some sympathy, but it didn't seem like, even the BJP's vote share in Delhi has come down by only 2 percentage points. So, yeah, they won zero seats in Delhi. Delhi BJP has again won seven on seven seats, like the last two elections.
इसमें काफी लोग ये भी कह रहे हैं कि जो दलित फैक्टर था वो बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट था, बिकॉज नॉट ओनली डिड दे वोट बट दे ऑल्सो वेंट आउट एंड रियली गॉट पीपल टू वोट फॉर द इंडिया अलायंस.
See, Dalits have largely already been voters of the Congress party in most of North India and even in South India, states like Karnataka. Um, but some were voting for BJP after 2014 because of development push, right? Because of freebies and welfare. अब उसमें दो चीजें हुई हैं कि एक तो in the second term, Mr. Modi pulled his hand back on freebies and welfare. He proudly said in an interview, "I'm winning without freebies," right? And I think that's one of the things that have cost them. Data shows the kind of post-poll study you're talking about. Data already shows that in the more rural seats, the BJP has done worse, right? So there's post-COVID rural distress, etc., which the Modi government did not address as much as they should have, out of overconfidence, I think. Um, but and Dalits are the poorest of the poor, and they've been affected by some of that, right? Um, at the same time, um, the Ab Ki Baar 400 Par slogan really backfired for multiple reasons. And one of them was that Congress spread the fear, correct or incorrect, that the BJP wants 400 seats out of 543. They want a brutal three-fourths majority so that they can amend the constitution at will. And Dalits regard the constitution as sacred because their icon, Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar, was the chairman of the drafting committee of the constitution. But also, it is the constitution that guarantees them reservations. So the fear was that BJP will amend the constitution and reservations will go away. Now, especially in the first phase, after that, the BJP sort of tackled the narrative and showed that they are committed to the constitution and so on and allayed the fears. But at least in the first of the seven phases, और फर्स्ट फेज से कहानी काफी खराब हुई. फर्स्ट फेज से इंप्रेशन ही फैल गया कि ओ बीजेपी नॉट डूइंग एज वेल एज यू थॉट, राइट, एंड दैट अफेक्टेड द इलेक्शन. Usually, the first phase goes really well for BJP. Elections are organized in such a way, and that affects the rest of the election. एक हवा फैल जाती है. So दलित पे ये narrative था. I'll be cautious about the extent to which this has happened because, as I said, Dalits anyway largely vote for Congress.
You both looking like twins. No, yeah, Shivam is much better looking. Is saffron
Oh,
shift
this is
of...
live. I didn't.
No, no, it's not. These are questions that people had sent in.
Oh,
Is
okay, okay.
शिवम डर गए क्या, कुछ मैंने गलत तो नहीं बोल दिया? Is saffron shift of Overton window inevitable in India?
Firstly, I'm really fan of this concept of Overton Window, and I'm glad somebody brought that up. I think it is inevitable. I think maybe we saw some of it this election, right? The Overton window was pushed by the India Alliance talking, sidestepping the questions of Hindutva, not
Mm,
falling into the Ram Mandir trap, as it were, and therefore not allowing Hindutva polarization to succeed. And they went into freebies and welfare and so on to a bit. Um, you know, a lot of this has to do with the personality called popularity of Mr. Modi, right? Imagine PTI without Imran Khan,
mm,
right? Hindutva was around before Mr. Modi as well, right? Mr. L.K. Advani was the architect of the Babri Masjid movement, or the Ram Janmabhoomi movement that resulted in a demolition of Babri Masjid in 1991,
mm,
right? And he could never become prime minister, right? Um, I think that after Mr. Modi, the BJP will suffer an inevitable decline, at least for some time, until a personality cult leader comes back.
mm,
In the Same is true for Congress. Congress were at its peak with Indira Gandhi, personality cult leader who could have lamppost elections. Um, so more than I think pushing the Overton window on Hindutva is a smart idea, but it is actually the person rise and follow personality cults. Whether Amit Shah or Yogi can match up to Modi's personality cult levels remains to be seen. Future will tell us. But I think that is more important than Overton window here.
How,
I also think that what this election tells you, Shaz, I want to make an important point here
mm-hmm.
that Hindu nationalism, and I know that people in Pakistan also obsess a lot about it, is an overrated factor when it comes to voting behavior in India. Okay, these people who are saying, the people you were citing, कि ये मुस्लिम एक हो जाते हैं और हिंदू बढ़ जाता है कास्ट में. Hindutva is always been an overrated factor. I'll tell you, 26/11 attacks in 2008. Again, all you're doing, Shazad. Uh,
मैं यू मेक इट साउंड
they
लाइक मैं मुझे ही फोन किया था
they
अजमल ने। मैं ही था दूसरी लाइन
so
पर,
the
पॉडकास्ट कर
so
रहा था मैं उसके
so
साथ।
so after those attacks, the general election of 2009, the Lok Sabha election, the national election, was just 5 months away. Okay. And Advani ran the campaign that this is happening because Congress is soft on terrorists, which was a code word for Muslims, right? There were posters of this Kashmiri militant Afzal Guru across India saying Congress not hanging him out of appeasement of Muslims. And the Congress returned to power with more seats than last time. Okay. Even back in the day in 1991 when the Babri Masjid fell, BJP did not immediately win the next election. Okay. After 2002 Gujarat riots, yes, BJP did very well in Gujarat, but 2004, just 2 years later, Vajpayee lost the election, and Vajpayee, in fact, in his first interview after the elections, blamed the Gujarat riots for the defeat. So there's a history to this. In 2014, when Mr. Modi wanted to become prime minister, he had to downplay Hindutva and overplay development and Vikas, right? So there's a history to this. I can go on giving you examples. I am absolutely not surprised. During the election campaign, I was sure Ram Mandir as a political thing is not working, right? I didn't hear a single person. In 2019, I heard people say they were voting for Modi because of Balakot, which was an Indian nationalism thing, or because the freebies, especially small farmers, were getting this, sudden 2,000 rupees in their account before the election. So there were freebies and welfare schemes. For the lower caste, for the poor, those were more important. For the upper caste, for the BJP core constituency, Balakot was more important.
सो
But
व्हाट यू
this time, I didn't hear anyone say we are voting for BJP because of Ram Mandir, except for very few core constituency core voters. Not really, nobody.
तो फॉर पाकिस्तानी ऑडियंस टू अंडरस्टैंड कि हमें कुछ हमारा नाम है पाकिस्तान मेंशन हम खुश हो जाते हैं। वो नाम बहुत आता है, पॉलिटिक्स में बहुत आता है, मीडिया में बहुत आता है, बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू पुश कम्स टू शव वोटिंग जिस तरह पाकिस्तान है, हमारे इलेक्शंस में इमरान खान वाज द फैक्टर, नवाज शरीफ वाज द फैक्टर, एस्टैब्लिशमेंट वाज द फैक्टर, किसी ने इंडिया बोला भी नहीं। राइट, लाइक अभिनंदन कुलभूषण यादव, ये तो मतलब डिस्कस भी कोई नहीं होता। हमें पाकिस्तान पाकिस्तान मेंशन होते हुए बहुत सुनाई देता है, तुम पाकिस्तान चले जाओ, तुम पाकिस्तान चले जाओ, बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू एक्चुअल वोटिंग यूर सेइंग ये वोटर के लिए इतना फैक्टर नहीं है ये।
Shehzad, I got a message during the election campaign from a friend of mine in Lahore saying that he's getting FOMO. He's not hearing enough Pakistan. He said, I'm not hearing enough Pakistan in your election. कुछ हो तो बता देना. So I said, no, there's been a bit. कि भेजते रहना, वो सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है. मतलब, I'm not feeling important enough suddenly. I think that um, these are all factors. Hindutva is a factor. Indian nationalism is a factor. And the easy thing to do with Indian nationalism politically is to do Pakistan bashing, right? And if there's a terror attack, it will become a bigger factor. If there's no recent terror attack, it will be less of a factor. But let's not, what I'm against is overplaying one factor as if this is everything, right? 2019 was not just Balakot. It was a number of freebies and schemes by the Modi government. Free toilet, free gas cylinder, free bank account, free health insurance, free 2,000 rupees in your account, free 200 rupees subsidy for your free gas cylinder. In Mr. Modi's second term, there was only one freebie, free ration, which was for 80 crore people, which was anyway so subsidized that family was saving maybe 500-600 rupees, right? If they had done one big freebie scheme, I assure you they would be above the majority mark right now.
There are
right?
200
So it's
questions, so
not
let me try and run through these.
sure.
How can peace be
Let's
established
let's
in,
let's talk. Yeah.
या हाउ कैन पीस बी एस्टैब्लिश इन मणिपुर? ये तो बहुत ही मुश्किल सवाल है, कोई है जवाब आपके पास?
In Manipur,
या
I think Manipur has two seats, both of which BJP has lost quite badly, and I think that is the first step to peace because the people of Manipur, both sides of the conflict, have spoken.
बीजेपी ओवर कॉन्फिडेंस हमने डिस्कस कर लिया है, यूट्यूब इज रिप्लेसिंग टीवी मीडिया थोड़ा बहुत टच ऑन कर लिया हमने। क्या नेशनलिज्म इस बार इशू नहीं था?
Yes, I think that the BJP, prepares for everything like checking boxes,
हम्म,
and their preparation for nationalism was the G20 summit in September. I think they overestimated it as something that could make
हम्म,
Indians proud of India, kind of thing. But also, it was September; it was 9 months away ago. So there was, and in fact, during the campaign, they tried to revive nationalism, but it didn't really work.
हम्म।
It was less of a factor, yes.
What happened in UP? Why could they not sweep UP this time? Please don't answer that they wanted to save the constitution, democracy rhetoric.
I think the poor candidates was a very big one. Wherever I went, the BJP candidates,
हम्म,
we don't hate Modi, we like Modi, we like Yogi even more, but the candidate is really bad. Okay, this was according to me, the main factor because that's what I heard the most. But there were also caste issues, right? Caste issues that could be transcended with the Modi personality cut earlier. This time they were
हम्म,
not, I mean, for different reasons. I'm not going to boring details for you, but for different reasons, different caste groups were unhappy. Unemployment was a big issue for unemployed youth. It affected them in some votes. I think these were the main factors.
इन इन केस इंडियन इलेक्शन के मुताबिक आप पॉडकास्ट कर रहे हो, हाँ कर रहे हैं बिल्कुल, इस बार इंडियन इलेक्शन में सोशल मीडिया ने कितना इम्पैक्ट डाला है? इसमें स्पेसिफिक भी अगर हो जाए तो पाकिस्तान को लगता है कि ध्रुव राठी ने सिंगल हैंडेडली इलेक्शन डिसाइड किया है, तो दोनों क्वेश्चन का बता दें।
Um, no, but I think Gurrati and people like him are extremely important because that other point of view has no space on
हम्म,
TV. So YouTube really, I wrote an article some months ago. 2014 India was the Facebook called a Facebook election.
हम्म,
2019 was called the WhatsApp election,
हम्म,
and 2024 is a YouTube election. So on YouTube, the fact that the opposition is able to have a level playing field, it matters.
हम्म,
Yeah. Uh, but yes, Dhruv is quite a courageous guy and a star.
हम्म,
And the hits that his videos get tell you that there is a lot of space for the opposition point of view, and India does not think this one way. And the election result has proven that as well.
I missed your article, but I read another person's article. It's the exact same. किसी इंडियन पब्लिकेशन में था, exact same argument ये थी, खातून थी. How did the exact exit poll get it so wrong?
Well, that is a very good question because, firstly, exit polls do get it wrong often. Some of them are very bad methodology.
हम्म,
They're a TRP game for TV channels to get ads and hits one day before the election result. But they don't all get it wildly wrong. Getting an exit poll right is much easier than getting an opinion poll right because you're asking people after they've voted
हम्म.
you know and the conspiracy theories in India about stock market manipulation and all, I just think that one the voter was not willing to reveal their cards. I really think so.
हम्म.
So आप exit pollsters से भी झूठ बोल रहे हैं because of some sense of fear, some sense of feeling stupid because सब लोग बीजेपी को वोट दे रहे हैं, maybe something happened there.
Is the voting trend anti-Hindutva or more to do with economic distress?
More to do with economic distress, more to do with the feeling of not being heard, the
हम्म,
feeling of not being listened to by uh, the party, by the government. But it is not anti-Hindutva for sure.
हम्म,
Um, People don't really, I mean, the ordinary person does not think of Hindutva, think of ideology like you and I think. The ordinary person first thinks of bread butter issues, right? So the ordinary person Ram Mandir banaya is अच्छी बात है. But he's not against Ram Mandir. I mean, Ayodhya, where Faizabad seat BJP lost, Nobody's against Ram Mandir. But what people are in that seat are saying
Mm.
is that you build this huge temple, you displace the locals, you haven't given them compensation. The people who own shops there have been removed. Outsiders have come in with their business contracts. So these are economic issues. Uh, Definitely, except for Muslims, nobody really has a. Very few people have a problem with Hindutva. That is the real fact.
How will this impact Modi Yogi camp fight?
Um, my short answer is I don't know. Um, but even in UP villages, I heard people discuss that. This the feeling, right or wrong, that the BJP leadership in Delhi is trying to undermine Yogi in UP is not going down well. And some people presume this is an issue only with the Rajput community, only with people of Yogi's own caste. That is not true. It is across the board an issue with the BJP support base in general. They don't want Yogi undermined. So it's going to be tough, especially in light of the poor result in UP. Who gets the blame? Who's the fall guy? Yogi would be an easy fall guy for Delhi, but I think that would be a mistake.
Will TDP JDU force Modi to soft Hindutva?
Yes, I think so.
All the hue and cry about EVM seems to be false. His take on that.
These EVM conspiracy theories, I think Indian lefties, why do people believe in conspiracy theories? And when it comes to conspiracy theories, Shehzad, I think your country is ahead of mine. But what
ये
happens
जो आप
is
मेक श्योर
that
कर रहे हैं ना इस पॉडकास्ट में कि आपको फॉर गोइंग ऑन अ पाकिस्तानी पॉडकास्ट ब्राउनी पॉइंट्स इंडिया में मिले, ये जो हिट्स है ना मैं काउंट कर रहा हूँ तो स्ट्राइक 3 दी है.
I genuinely think that Pakistani conspiracy theories are far, far ahead of India, just like Pakistani humor is far ahead of India.
अच्छा.
But
कम
I
अज
think
कम
that,
हमारा प्राइम मिनिस्टर बायोलॉजिकली तो
but,
पैदा हुआ है ना यार. मतलब कुछ तो क्रेडिट हमें दे दे यार.
but I think that people came up with EVM conspiracy theories. Even in villages, people used to be like, अगर EVM सही है, तब बीजेपी हार जाएगी. Okay, because the scale of the BJP victories have been so huge कि यकीन नहीं होता. People come up with
हम्म,
conspiracy theories. नासा कभी चांद पे गया ही नहीं, फोटोशॉप इमेज थी. क्यों?
हम्म,
यकीन ही नहीं होता कि कोई चांद पे जा सकता है, right? So when you can't believe something, you want to come up with an explanation that sounds more plausible, and that is the conspiracy theory. Lefties have been talking about EVM में chip and year war and election after election. This is the happiest thing about this election, that those EVM, and there were more theories about election rigging. They've all been proved wrong. But of course, conspiracy theories never rest. So one conspiracy theory is कि
हम्म.
बीजेपी तो चुनाव हार रही थी, 100 सीट आ रही थी, ईवीएम रिगिंग से इतना बचा लिया इन्होंने. तो अब यू कैन नॉट हेल्प कॉन्स्पिरेसी थ्योरीज.
How Gujarat became a development model and UP or Bihar failed?
Well, big number one reason, because Gujarat is a coastal state, a trading, they have trading ports, and they've historically, over the centuries,
Hmm.
been a trade hub. Communities in Gujarat have been entrepreneurial, enterprising communities forever. And UP Bihar are landlocked. UP Bihar were doing very well after independence, but I don't think they were ever a match for Gujarat. So there are historical reasons for that. I think, but also political stability in Gujarat has helped, and UP Bihar have had political instability forever, governments fall, and so on.
Hmm.
I think that comparing Gujarat to UP Bihar is comparing apples to oranges. But yes, South India has done really well in development. They
Hmm.
were not always this ahead of North.
How will Modi rise his popular narrative again? Is he able to govern in the center? What will the impact of NDA alliance coalition government be? As for the first time in 10 years, we'll get a government with less mandate and minimum power. Minimum to nahi, less maybe.
I think that Mr. Modi is, whether you like him or not, whether you agree with his ideology or not, is an extremely smart, crafty politician. I suspect that he's going to surprise us by making the coalition work. I think um, I think he's a man who understands power and the nature of power well enough that
Mm,
he'll make it work. He's only some 32 seats short of majority.
mm,
He's only two alliance partners to run, Naidu and Nitish. We've seen people, including Vajpayee and Manmohan, run these parties ke coalition. Okay, so this is nothing. He's not in trouble in terms of running the coalition. I also think that he will introspect on what went wrong and come up with a new narrative. I think he'll do well from here on. Just as overconfidence made them complacent, this defeat will make them learn. But what he cannot do is solve the larger problems such as unemployment, those are deeper structural problems that government can't really solve in 5 years.
I think we've addressed this, but since Hamid Akhtar हमें regularly follow करते हैं, how much truth is there in the claim that Yogi was systematically sidelined and undersold by his own party because the BJP top brass saw him as a potential successor to the prime minister?
I think the narrative is exaggerated. Potential successor. Abhi Modi is not leaving for the successor to arrive. So the jaldi kya hai? But the narrative really took root in one caste community, Yogi's own caste, who were also upset for other reasons, right? So I met people in the community who didn't go to vote out of anger. And
Hmm.
one guy said, मैं रिस्क नहीं लेना चाहता था. मैंने कहा काहे का रिस्क? तो जाते तो बीजेपी बटन दब जाता तो हम गए नहीं.
वाह.
All right.
मैं अपने दिल को नहीं रोक सकता था अंदर. What role does he see the institutions play in the future in the wake of a coalition government? We can't hope much from the television media, but more important are the roles played by state institutions such as ECI. We are far, far away from being a decent democracy, but the way we conduct elections is a matter of pride and a global asset for every state that aspires to improve its democracy.
No, why can't we expect much from the media? Even the media, a very sort of pro-government right-wing anchor last night, ran a show that did not sound like him already. His name is Sudhir Chaudhary, and the joke is, the social media joke is he's become Sudhar Chaudhary. Sudhar gaya hai. Okay, so I mean, the media in India has always been pro-establishment, और government की जितनी सीट होती है वो उतना
Mm.
pro-establishment हो जाता है. I think that they will become slightly more neutral, slightly more skeptical, and this is true of all institutions, especially the judiciary, perhaps.
आप कोई ऐसी बात कर चुके हैं जिसकी वजह से आप पाकिस्तान आए, तो आपकी ज़िंदगी की मैं कोई गारंटी नहीं ले सकता, तो हम एनडीसी पे करेंगे कि इतना बड़ा आपने इंसल्ट हमारे मुल्क के ख़िलाफ़ क्या सोच कर किया? क्या माल आपने फूका हुआ था कि आपने कहा इंडियन मैंगोज आर बेटर देन पाकिस्तानी मैंगोज? हाउ डेयर यू शिवम, हाउ डेयर यू, हाउ डेयर यू से दिस?
See, शहजाद
दीज
आपने
मैंगोज
अभी
हेल्प्ड अस गेट रिड ऑफ अ डिक्टेटर. हाउ डेयर यू
शहजाद
शिवम?
आपने शहजाद पाकिस्तानी मैंगोज आर गुड इनफ ओनली फॉर एक्सप्लोडिंग. सो शहजाद आपने अभी शुरू में बोला कि ये जो रिस्पॉन्ड करके लोग बड़ा बना देते हैं, व्हेन यू वर सेइंग दैट शहबाज शरीफ रिस्पॉन्ड्स, हम गद्दार नहीं है, द नैरेटिव गोज अहेड. वैसे ही ये मैंगो वाली बात पे जितना पाकिस्तानी मुझसे आर्ग्यू करते हैं, जितना डिफेंसिव होते हैं, उतना प्रूव होता है पाकिस्तानी मैंगोज आर इंडीड नॉट बेटर देन इंडियन मैंगोज.
शेम ऑन यू. शेम. मैं कल प्रोटेस्ट ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहा हूँ. किसी ने मुझे अभी बोला था, व्हाई डोंट यू रैली द मासेस ऑन द रियल इश्यूज? ऐसे मैं प्रोटेस्ट कॉल करता हूँ, 200 लोग नहीं आते. लेकिन अभी मैं कॉल करूंगा ना, दिस इज एन इशू आई कैन रैली द मासेस
So,
अगेंस्ट.
a very famous mango variety in Pakistan is the Rathol mango. Do you know that Rathol is actually a village in UP, and I've been there not once but couple of times.
यार देयर आर लॉट ऑफ
At
मैंगोज
in
पाकिस्तानी
mango,
जिनके ओरिजिन्स इंडियन ही हैं सबके. आई गेट इट. श्योर. बट दैट इज हियर नाउ.
I will hold further comment. I'll restrain myself from further commenting.
इस तरह तो
Um,
कीनू भी जो है हमारा, वो कैलिफोर्निया में उसका सीड बना था, बट वी आर द बेस्ट कंट्री फॉर दैट कीनू टू ग्रो.
for the Kina.
आई एम गोइंग टू सेंड यू सम मैंगोज. अगली दफ़ा अजमल जा रहा हो ना, तो मैं मैंगो शैंगोज कुछ ना कुछ तुम्हारे साथ भेज दूंगा, सो दैट यू डोंट से थिंग्स लाइक
Sure.
दिस एंड गेट प्रूवन रॉन्ग इन द
I
फ्यूचर.
just, I just hope they don't explode on me.
No guarantees. No guarantees. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for
Thank you,
listening.
Shazad. Pleasure talking to you, and great
Pleasure
to be
talking
on
to
this
you.
excellent podcast.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.